Welcome back to another exciting episode of 60 Plus Uncensored. I'm your host, Seb Fry, and today's guest is Tim Heale, retired British Army infantry soldier, PsyOps operator, adventurer, storyteller, podcaster, and creator of Riding Through History tours. Tim spent a lifetime in service, from multiple military deployments to his final years as Unit Welfare Officer for London Central Garrison, supporting soldiers and families while taking part in London's ceremonial traditions. Beyond the uniform, Tim has lived at full throttle: rugby, skiing, hang gliding, offshore sailing, motorbikes, history tours, podcasting, and vlogging. Today we'll talk about resilience, reinvention, service, adventure, and what it means to keep living with purpose after 60. So without further ado, let's get into it. Tim, thank you so much for joining me here today on 60 Plus Uncensored. I'm very excited to have you. Now, for those of our audience who are not yet familiar with you, could you take a minute and share with us who is Tim Heale and what are you all about?
Well, what am I about? I'm about a huge amount of stuff, actually. I'm one of those people that was born in the 50s and I'm now rapidly approaching 70. So it makes me, and I'm fully retired as well. And that's another story altogether. But for me, I joined the British Army. I had a choice. I could join the British Army or I could go to Borstal. For people that don't know what Borstal is, it's like a young offenders correction type of unit. And I didn't fancy that, and I managed to get into the army. So I joined the army in 1974, and I left the army in 2018, having done 44 years under the colours, man, boy, regular and a reserve. Since I had several sort of different jobs in the army. I started off as an infantry soldier, proper grunt on the ground, and I did that for several years, and then I specialised slightly in some specialist work, and then I ended up in 1998 moving into a new unit that was called 15 UK Psychological Operations Group. And I spent the best part of 11 years and 7 operational tours as a PsyOps operator, and I got pretty good at it. From there, I spent my last 8 years in the British Army as a welfare officer, and I was a Royal Anglian, proud Royal Anglian, and I served with the Guards. The last 8 years was with the Guards. I mean, the Guards are a different breed altogether.
Well, what
And
are the Anglian Guards? I've heard of them. Like, what are they all
well,
about?
the Guards, I mean, they're the guys that effectively guard the royal palaces. They're the ones that do at that time it was the Queen's Guard, it's now the King's Guard. So you've got 5 regiments of foot guards. So you've got the Grenadier Guards, you've got the Coldstream Guards, the Scots Guards, the Irish Guards and the Welsh Guards. But we had just had the 3 foot guards companies, and which was the Nijmegen Company, Grenadiers, 7 Company Coldstream and F Company Scots. And we also had the 5 foot guards bands under our tenure. We also had the headquarters of London Central Garrison and the headquarters of London District. So we had roughly about 1,200 people on our books. And this was from about 2009 up until 2018 when I retired. And it was right at the height of the Afghan campaign, the Iraq campaign, and we were sending fit blokes out as battle casualty replacements, and they were sending us back bits of bodies. I mean, broken guys. Were on rehabilitation, that sort of thing, which presented us with a problem in the fact that we didn't quite have enough guys to man the Queen's Guard at the time, because it used to take 48 rank and file to do a Queen's Guard, plus another 12 to do a Windsor Guard. That's 60 blokes from a pool of about 88, of which about 50 of them were broken. Which is why I, as a Royal Anglian, ended up doing Queen's Guards.
Well,
as a senior sergeant,
are you
which was a
literally
lot of
guarding the
fun.
queen? I mean, I would imagine the queen has like a secret service or somebody like in plain clothes,
Yeah, I
like
mean,
guarding her.
she has her own bodyguard. I mean, the guards are effectively nowadays. I mean, they used to, but nowadays they are a tourist attraction, for want of a better word. They're the guys in the red tunics, and they're marching up and down outside Buckingham Palace. Christopher Robin went down with Alice and all that sort of thing. So that's what the guards did.
But those are real soldiers, though. Those guys, those
Well, yeah,
beef
yeah. I
eaters. Do
mean,
you call them beef eaters? What do you call them?
no. The beef eaters are something different. They're over at the Tower of London,
Ah,
and what they tend to be is retired um, warrant officers, and they do the job as guarding the palace, which is the Tower of London, which is a palace, which is, I mean, it's a historic site. It's been there for a long.
right. I love the Tower of London. It's one of my favorite things. I love London. I got to say, I'm a big fan. I've been there. I don't know, probably like 5 times, but it's been a long time, and it is high on my list of places to return to. I always have a great time there. So, and of course, I mean, the thing I love about London really is like Paris. I'm not a big fan of Paris. I tell people all the time. Paris is like a museum, right? I mean, but London is like an actual, like really alive city. It does such a great job, I think, of blending like modernity with like antiquity, right? I mean, like it's a happening place in a
Well,
way that I
well,
don't really feel
nowadays,
Paris is.
nowadays, it's not the safest place on earth. Put it that way. I mean, you're lucky to come away from London without getting stabbed. It's that.
Well, so I'm
I'm
an
serious.
American, and we're
You
we're used to
laugh.
violent crime.
It's Yeah. Well, that London's like that at the moment. It's not the safest place in the world. I mean, I still go up there. We call it the smoke. But you just have to be aware of where you are, and don't walk down the street with your phone in your hand because some bugger will come and swipe it and be
Really?
off on their
Wow.
heels. Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, it's phone crime is rampant in London. It's
Really
terrible. Oh Christ, yeah. I mean,
interesting.
even if you've got it in your pocket, some little tow rag will have it away. But there you go.
Right, right. Well, that's too bad. I'm sorry to hear that, but I still think that I want to go back and I'd like to take my kids there. You know, my kids have never been to London, so I think it would be lovely. So you were the Queen's Guard. So did you meet the Queen?
Yeah, on several occasions, and most of the other royals. I mean, I had a lovely little job on the Queen's birthday parade, where you see all the guards marching around out on horse guards. There's me done up in my best blues, big rack of medals. I'm up in a general's office, hobnobbing with the minor royals. So I looked after the
Hobnobbing.
minor royals.
Is that like
Yes.
Kate, Duchess of Windsor or whatever, and
Yeah,
Fergie and those people?
yeah. I mean, yeah. Fergie was there on the early ones. They didn't used to come for a while, but it was certainly Kate, Harry, um, William was generally outside on a nag, and yeah. So we had the Gloucesters, the Kents, so the minor royals that take a slightly, and I mean I don't know whether you see it recently, but you see after the Queen's birthday parade, and they're all out on the balcony at Buckhouse, and then you got little Louis, and he's playing up. Now there's a reason why he plays up, and the other kids as well, because the mess staff that look after them, that provided the minor royals with refreshments while everybody's out there marching around, they're giving the kids blue Smarties. They
And
give
those
them
are
little
candies.
sweeties.
Yeah.
They're like candy, yeah. And these ones, they make them they make them muck about, shall we say? It's giving them a sugar rush.
Right, right. Well, that's good. Kids love that kind of thing.
Oh
So,
yeah, I mean,
you were a Queen's Guard for like a long, long time. That is that like an easy duty station, or is that I
It
don't
was
know,
full
risky or
on.
complicated?
No, it was just busy. I mean, the summer months were probably the hardest because you've got 24-hour guards. The guards are changing every single day during the summer. And so you can turn up in the summer and you watch the guards do the changing of the guard at Buckingham Palace, Christopher Robin, all that sort of malarkey. The winter months wasn't quite so bad. They're sort of 48-hour guards, so it's every other day that they're changing the guard. And on the actual guard themselves, for me as a senior sergeant, it was just making sure that the guys were doing the right thing. They were turning out at the right time under the auspices, or they had a junior NCO that marched them out and changed them around. And my job was just to make sure that it all ran sweet. It was
So
simple.
so you're like a consummate military man. I mean, I would imagine like to actually get to that station, it's probably it's like it's a lofty place, right? I mean, not just anybody gets to do that job, right? I mean, like because you started in 1974 and you were in the military for how long did you say? Did you say 44 years?
44 years, yeah.
44 years. That's like a very long career.
Well,
So is this so
I'm,
that station is that like a like an honor they afford to people who have been in the service for a long time, or is that just like oh
well,
anybody can get that one?
it was kind of, I just kind of fell into it. But, I mean, under this gorgeous exterior, there's an absolute train wreck going on underneath. I mean, knees are shot, hips are shot, backs in clip, shoulders have had it. everywhere south of my hair is buggered, basically.
Well, you do look fabulous, I have to say. So let's go back to 1974. So you're basically going to go to like a some kind of like school for wayward youth, or join the military. So you joined the military at 18 years old. How old were you when you got in
No, I
there?
was I was I was 16 when I joined the army. I got
16.
in, yeah, I got in a little bit of bother, and the judge said, I mean, you have a choice. You can join the British Army, or you go to Borstal and get corrected. Now, Borstal, back in those days, was a harsh, harsh regime. I mean, the army wasn't much better, but but you had a little bit more. You got paid to be in the army, basically. You didn't get paid to go to Borstal. So anyway, I joined the army as a junior soldier. Um,
At 16 years old. What did your parents say? I mean, weren't your parents part of this?
they was glad to get rid of me. I was a little toe rag. I was a parcel of trouble, trust me. Uh, I grew up in a rough area. Where we lived, it was just north of London, and after the war, London kind of emptied. So you got the East End all turning out into Essex and Hertfordshire. North London doing the same. South London, obviously, they went south, but round where I lived, it was East Enders and in North London, and it was rough. I mean, the kids were taught to fight before they could walk, and if you didn't stand up for yourself, you just got constantly bullied, and it was relentless. It was a tough area. I mean, the kids around here. I mean, you see them on the films and that, and snotty nosed little kids and scruffy little Herberts. I suppose in America you had like the Rascals. You remember that old,
Yeah, the old TV show. Yes, I remember the Little Rascals.
yeah, the Rascals. Well, they were little angels compared with what I was growing up round.
Well, I remember I spent New Year's in London in I don't know, like 2001, maybe 2002, something like that, in the East End. We were in the East End, and I got up the next morning, and somebody had burned a car overnight just down the street. There was a burned out car that hadn't been there the night before, so I thought that was pretty interesting. Yeah, I know how the East End is, I guess.
Yeah, I mean the East End has changed totally. I don't even recognise the place. I mean, I really don't recognise the East End. I mean, Poplar has changed totally. It's just not the place it used to be, and the people have changed there as well. So all the old sort of East Enders have all gone. There's hardly anybody left there now. It's all immigrants that have moved in. It's a terrible place. and they've made it so, unfortunately.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, that happens everywhere. I mean, we've got a particular problem with immigrants in this country at the moment that I don't really want to talk about because I'll probably get myself into trouble somewhere along the line.
Right. Well, we have plenty of things we could talk about. So you joined at 16. So what's it like being in the British military at 16 years old? I mean, do they like? I mean, because I know like basic training that you see in all the movies, right? Is it British basic training? Is it like that? You have some guy screaming at you, and you're crawling through mud, and you're like running in the dark for hours and hours, or what's that like?
No, it's probably tougher than that actually. Well, I'll give you a rough idea. Well, I turned up at a depot on the 5th of August 1974 with about 300 other guys, and we were split down into 3 platoons, company-sized platoons. When we passed off the square 6 weeks later, the platoon I was in, which was called Salamanca Platoon, there was 35 of us left out of 100.
Wow.
Blokes were dropping like flies. It was a really tough, brutal regime. And the vast majority of us that were left were tough lads to start with. Been brought up on sort of council estates and the like, so we could look after ourselves. Hardship for us was just a way of life back then. And it was us that, I mean, I'd gone through the army cadets and the sea cadets as well, so I that sort of that military mindset before I got there, which helped enormously. And most of the guys that were left had come through that sort of the cadets, so they knew what they were going to get. And then after that, it eased off a little bit. I mean, the first 6 weeks was literally brutal. It was square bashing. It was being mucked about from 5 o'clock in the morning till 10, 11 o'clock at night. And sometimes if you really mucked up, you'd be going all night, and then you'd have a full day, and it was just relentless. But it made good soldiers of us. When I actually passed out from the depot, and I got posted, my first posting was to Germany. I went to a place called Münster, and I was posted to the 2nd Battalion, the Royal Anglian Regiment, the poachers. And that comes from the Lincolnshire poachers. And yeah, I got caught doing that as well. That didn't go down particularly well.
So you go to Germany and you're 16 years old still.
No, I was 17.
17.
When I got to Germany, I was 17. The battalion at the time, the bulk of the battalion was in Northern Ireland. They were in Belfast on a tour, and I arrived with a few others, and we were stuck on the rear party. And I had my first Christmas in Germany, and that was that. So it was great. Each company had their own blocks, and in the basement they had their own clubs. Beer was cheap as chips. It was like £1 a beer, and at that time, a mark you used to get. I think it used to be about 5 or 6 marks to the pound. So it was proper cheap. And it was a drinking culture back then, to be honest.
Right. Well, isn't England still kind of a drinking culture? I mean, that's my understanding, is that people in England like to drink.
Yeah. Old habits die hard, don't they?
Right. So you were in the infantry for like a real long time, and so what were you doing? What was there just marching around? I mean, like you're in Europe. There's no wars going on at that time, right?
When I joined the battalion at that time, it was a mechanised battalion, so they had what they called the 432s, which was the armoured personnel carrier. So there was an awful lot of time spent looking after vehicles, cleaning vehicles and servicing vehicles, and going out on exercise, jumping out of vehicles and tabbing around. We also had what they called a site guard, which was guarding the Americans' nuclear missiles in Germany. That was one of the things we used to do, and then the rest of the time you do just normal training. You do your normal weapon handling. You do your physical stuff. You're constantly running around as an infantry soldier. But it was great fun. You was with your mates all the time, and it was just brilliant. Because I mean, you'd finish work at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and you'd be down in the company club. You're on a few sherbets, and then sort of 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, you're off downtown, and you're on it all night. And you get back in sort of 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, get your head down for a couple of hours. You're up at 6 o'clock, out on a run. We were proper functioning alcoholics back then, I can tell you.
Right. Well, that sounds pretty fun. I mean, especially as a young man, right? So, did you ever like get deployed to like a combat area or no?
Yeah. I mean, more times than I care. I look good on a mess night, is all I can say. But we came back from Germany in 1976, back to England, and we were posted in a place down in Kent. And for 2 years, we were barely there. We were always away on an exercise, or actually, I did my first Northern Ireland tour from there in '77. I had my 19th birthday in Belfast, which was pretty rough, I must say. It was the height of the troubles.
Troubles, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we had probably the one of the toughest areas in Belfast. We were in the Ballymurphy. And we had rocket attacks, we had riots. I lost count of how many riots we had. We had shootings, we had IEDs. We didn't call them IEDs at the time, but we had that. And it was a pretty full-on tour. We had to get other guys in from other units to come into our area to give us a hand just to patrol the place. It was rough.
Yeah.
I saw my first dead body there.
Wow. So were you doing riot control yourself or no? What, I mean.
Yeah. I mean, we were right in the front line of it.
So you had like a big plastic shield thing and a baton and all that?
Yeah, we done all of that. I even had the baton gun. I
What
could
is
tell you
that?
a little story about a baton gun.
What's a baton gun?
It fires a baton round. So it's like a rubber bullet. It fires rubber bullets. Anyway. So we've been there for a few months, and so you go in a cycle of 6 days. So you've got 2 days you're out on the patrols, you've got 2 days in the sangars, and then you've got 2 days on standby, or QRF, Quick Reaction Force. So the guys out on the ground that are patrolling, they get in trouble, QRF crashes out, boom, you get out, you sort it out. You get 2 days relatively easy in the sangars, the guard towers basically. So we were in the cookhouse one particular day, and we were watching something on the telly of football. So I don't forget what was going on, but there was a riot going on outside. They were stoning the camp. They was throwing rocks over into the camp, and one of the first rocks that came over apparently cut the communications cable from the Sanger to the ops room, and from the ops room to the galley where we were. So we were happy sat in there, and then this whether we were watching film or football finished, and as we got out, the whole yard's littered with rocks. So we've got crashed out then. So I've grabbed my baton gun, and we've snuck out the back gate of the camp. And as we're coming down the side, all these tow rags are throwing bricks at the camp and that. And then they sighted us as we're coming down the side, and I've got my baton gun loaded, and they've seen us and they've started to run away. I was told to fire, so I fired this round off, and it shot out, and it was really in slow motion. So I saw the round going out. It's hit the ground. It's bounced up, and it's got this lad right in the back of the leg, right in the back of his knee. And as he's running away, his legs have overtaken him. And he's gone down, head smacked on the ground, and he's laid there. And the guys, the snatch guys, they run out and they grab the leg piece, and they're running back with this Herbert. and he's flailing about. His head's banging on the ground. Time we got him back into camp, he's got claret all down the back of him. He's concussed a lot. But it's his own fault. He shouldn't have been throwing stones at us.
Right, right. So how long were you in Northern Ireland? A long time, or just a half a year, or
No, that's 6 month tour. They're all
6 month
tours.
tour?
Yeah.
Right. And
Pretty
so,
rough as well.
so by this time, I mean, like there must be like a minimum enlistment, like 3 or 4 years or whatever. Is that right? So or how long do you
Yeah,
have to be in?
well, they give you the opportunity. When you go to sign on, you get the opportunity to sign on for 3 years, 6 years, 9 years, and then they call it 9 or 22. So you can sign on for 9 years with the option to do 22. And if you do that, you get a little bit more pay. So if you just sign on for 3 years, you get a certain amount of pay. If you sign for 6 years, you get a little bit more. But if you sign for 9 years with an option for 22, you get quite a bit more pay. So of course, you signed for 9 or 22, didn't you?
Wow, that's a long. I mean, I've never heard of anyone signing up to be in the military for 9 years with a 22-year option. That's a normal thing in the UK.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 22 years is the basic term that people serve back then, because that takes you to your 40, and then you get your pension. Your pension off at 40 or 42,
Right.
depends on when you join. So from 18 to 40 is 22 years.
Right. And so is that still the case now? I mean, like, do they still want you to join for 22 years?
Yeah, they kind of do. It's a little bit more flexible nowadays with the way that they do it. It's changed a lot, let me say. Guys that are doing the amount of time that I did is not uncommon nowadays, because you can do your time and then you get the option of either doing long service, or you can go on full-time reserve service, which is where I finished up doing. That's why I did best part of 11 years in psychological operations, and I did another 8 years as a welfare officer as full-time reserve,
Right. So
which was great, because you
sure.
can pick and choose when you go and what you do, pretty much.
Right. So when you were a PsyOps, you were a reserve officer or a reserve soldier, or what was your?
When I transferred across to them, I was on the reserve cadre, so I was on the reserves. At the time that it was a brand new unit that had been set up, there was 8 regular staff, and we built it up to 20 reserves. And then the reserves, I mean, because I was doing sort of agency work at the time, I had the option of going in doing what they called man training days. So I was doing man training days, so like doing 5 days a week, getting paid 5 days a week. And then Bosnia was already sort of bumbling along, but then Kosovo kicked off. And next thing I knew, I'd signed up to do a Kosovo tour. And I ended up doing 2 tours in the end, which is where I really learned the craft of PsyOps, becoming a proper operator down there.
So is there like a PsyOps school, or where does one go to learn PsyOps?
That was it. That was the unit. It was a new unit, and we've always, the Brits have always done PsyOps in some form or other, but we've never had a proper formed unit as such. And this was a proper formed unit, and we developed the PsyOps courses basically.
So, I mean, the PsyOps, the masters of PsyOps are the Russians, right? I mean, I understand, right? I mean, no or not? Who's the masters of PsyOps? You are. The UK is.
Yeah, Brits. Yeah, absolutely. And
really,
I mean,
why do you say that? What makes you guys the masters of PsyOps?
It's understanding your target audience, and this is where a lot of other countries don't. The Americans, they want to be rude to them and everything like that. But I've worked with them, and they don't understand the target audience so much. Now, we go into an operation, and before we get there, we do a full-on country study. We look at the target audience that we're going to... I mean, basically, PsyOps is a bit of marketing. It's looking at a target audience and it's trying to change an attitude or a behaviour in that target audience. That's the bottom line of it. So we look at the target audience in depth and look at their vulnerabilities, what influences them, what is going to affect a change in their attitude and behaviour to what we want them to think. That's why we're good at it, because we spend time getting to know that target audience, and that's what it's really all about. Whereas lots of other countries come to us. They actually come to us. We were the best in the business, and we've developed that. It's like Northern Ireland. We developed fighting in urban areas over decades in Northern Ireland. That's why British soldiers are the best in the world. Maybe not nowadays, because they're leaving.
Because
in
why?
their
Why are
droves,
they not? Why are they maybe not the best now? Is it Keir Starmer? Is he to blame, or what? Why do you say that?
I think it's the way they recruit nowadays. Some years ago, they changed the recruiting. It used to be all in-house. You had the Navy, Army, Air Force had their own recruiting offices. Soldiers, airmen, sailors recruited. They were recruiters. Then some bright bloody spark decides that it's a good idea, and why don't we sub it out to a civilian organisation to do the recruiting for us? So they subbed it out to this firm called Capita, and then they changed things about, and what they then looked at doing is looking at a different demographic, because we're not diverse enough. They've gone for the diversity, inclusion and all that malarkey, and I won't swear, but it hasn't done us any favours at all. What they did, they went away from the core soldier material. Your basic British soldier, right? They're lads like me, come from council estates, rough little toe rags, and they make the best soldiers because they accept the discipline, they find ways around it and all that sort of thing. But they are the bread and butter of the British Army. With all this diversity and inclusion malarkey, they're not recruiting them now. These are the lads that are sat on their hands a lot of the time, can't find themselves work, can't get in the army because they're the wrong demographic. And it has mucked it up.
Huh. Interesting. Well, that's what you hear is going on here in the United States, right? I mean, like they're trying to get rid of all that. They got this guy Pete Hegseth, who's, whatever you want to say about him, he's trying to bring back the old school soldier, I guess, kind of like what you're talking about.
Yeah, and that is the problem. You haven't got it. You haven't got that right demographic that will stand up and fight for the country. They've done several of these bloody surveys and questionnaires asking people, would you fight for the country? So many young kids nowadays won't. We have a massive problem in this country. We've got more illegal migrants that have come across the channel than are in the whole of the British forces. We can't defend ourselves. When old Trump went after old Khomeini, the old Ayatollah, we couldn't go and help. It took us 3 weeks to get one ship out of dock. We've got 2 aircraft carriers that are limping around somewhere at the moment. We haven't got the troops to staff them. We haven't got the sailors.
Right. So why is that? Is it a funding issue? Is it funding or what is it?
Our special forces are leaving in droves at the moment because they are worried that in the future they are going to get hounded for some spurious war crime they may have committed in some far off land. I'm worried. Northern Ireland, Afghanistan. I did 3 tours of Afghanistan. I got in several brass-ups. Am I going to be chased because I fired ammunition off towards hostile people that started it? They were shooting at me first. The problem with the rules of engagement, we have to wait until we're being shot at first. We have to wait till we're in danger before we can fire back effectively, and that puts doubt in people's minds. The other bit is look at Northern Ireland. They're chasing blokes from the 70s that were involved in incidents in Northern Ireland. If you discharged your weapon in Northern Ireland in the 70s, what happened was you got back in off that patrol, your weapon was taken off you by the monkeys, by the RMP, you was then interrogated, and my interrogation, the first one, lasted for 8 hours.
Oh my God.
What did I have for breakfast? What did I have for breakfast? What did I do? How many rounds did I have? How many rounds did I fire? Who else was, what way was I fighting? And then they do the rest of the patrol. And then they come to a conclusion whether there's something to answer or you're cleared at the time. 9 times out of 10, you're cleared at the time because you was in the right. As long as you followed card alpha, you couldn't go wrong. And that's what's happening. So they've let all the terrorists off. Tony Blair let all the bloody terrorists off in Northern Ireland. All the IRA, give them a free pass. They're not going to be charged. But now they're chasing after British soldiers that were involved in incidents out. And they wonder why people are leaving. And you've got the likes of Starmer, who's a human rights lawyer, and his mate Harmer, or Hermer, human rights lawyers. They were actively chasing after British soldiers that served in Iraq. Came up with a load of spurious stuff, and they were chasing them. And that is why people don't want to join the army, because they're worried about if they do get into a conflict, years later they're going to be hounded. The SAS are walking away because they're not going to fight for these Tuaregs. It's a right shambles at the moment, really is.
Right. Sounds like it.
That's only my opinion, mind.
Right. One man's opinion, but you have a deep background in this, so sounds like you might know of what you speak. But back to the PsyOps thing, if you don't mind. You said PsyOps is supposed to understand and then use the understanding of the populace to get them to do what you want to do, essentially, right? So can you give an example of that, of your work? What did you want people to do through your PsyOps campaigns?
So I think, well, one of them was we didn't want children picking up munitions. So we had a campaign mainly directed towards children, and this campaign was brilliant in its thinking. It didn't work in practice. So we've got this leaflet that we will give dishing out, and it's got 2 kids, one standing back, one down just to pick up a landmine, and behind them is Superman. Now, the reason that this particular leaflet didn't work is because the kids thought that if they picked up a mine, Superman was going to come and save them. That came out when we started doing the product testing. So we didn't actually give that leaflet out. we came to that conclusion during the product testing stage. That that wasn't going to work. Fortunately, it didn't go out. So the stuff that did go out did work. It got the kids reporting the stuff rather than picking it up.
Well, I would imagine that PsyOps is I mean, I don't know, but I would imagine it's largely about like getting the local population to stop supporting the regime or whatever, right? Is that not?
I mean, one of the things in the Gulf War, the first Gulf War, the second Gulf War, when we went into Iraq, our teams produced what they call safe conduct passes. It's a little piece of paper like that, and it's got how to hand your weapon in, how to approach coalition troops, and basically saying this is a safe conduct pass, you got this, we'll look after you, we'll feed you, we'll water you. And we kicked millions of these out of aircraft over the Iraqi positions. And they were surrendering in their droves. There was units that were on the ground going into Iraq at the time. They were inundated with Iraqis with bits of paper wanting to give up, surrender. The troops on the ground were struggling with the numbers that were
Right.
up. That's why that Gulf War, that second Gulf War, was so successful. The fact that Saddam Hussein was still knocking around, causing a little bit of grief, was something else. But that was that was what was going on at the time.
So why aren't we doing the same thing? Why aren't we doing that in Iran right now? Why aren't we dropping like leaflets over Tehran with cases of machine guns and stuff like that? I mean, like, it seems to me like this is like a natural thing you should be doing in Iran in a time like this, or no?
I'm not sure what's going on in Iran. I know what there's a big movement in Iran against the Ayatollah. And
yeah, it's huge, right? I mean, like, they're very unpopular. Like, you think it wouldn't be that hard.
But the reprisals that are dished out to the local population are severe. And a lot of the time they don't know who is for and who's against.
Well, I imagine they were severe in Iraq also, if they found out that you were...
Of course, yeah.
Iraq
was a slightly different thing. I mean, it was a war. What you've got in Iran is you've got a regime. What they're trying to do is change the regime there. I mean, a regime like that had the potential to have nuclear weapons is problematic for us, whichever way you look at it. The Straits of Hormuz is so difficult to patrol because of the terrain. You've got a narrow shipping channel going each way round the Straits of Hormuz, and it's so close to the hills and that of Iran that it only takes one sniper that can stop everything.
Right. Yeah. So, do you think this whole adventure in Iran was kind of ill-conceived, or what's your opinion as someone who's spent some time in the Middle East and has considerable military background?
Oh, good question. I think the regime has by far been a harbinger of terrorism. They've been a supporter of terrorism across not just the Middle East, but the world. I mean, they've been funding different groups, Alice over the Platz. Something had to be done because they were getting close to being able to actually launch a nuclear weapon. And that just couldn't be allowed to happen. So from that point of view, something had to be done. Was it done the right way? Don't know. I mean, there has been sporadic uprisings in Iran, and the authorities have been coming down now.
Yeah, so that's what I understand. Okay, so like people don't like it. Why don't we just drop? I mean, we have a lot of guns in America. We're awash in guns. I don't know why we don't just like drop a million AK-47s into Iran. I mean, is that so hard? I mean, it seems like that's easy to do. We have air control, right? We could just drop crates and crates and crates of guns.
You could do that. Would it work? Don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen with that at the moment. That's just unfolding. The fact that half of Europe isn't willing to get involved isn't helping. The fact that Trump asked for some help and we told him to piss off, or Starmer did, that's not helped our case at all. Is it going to escalate? Is it going to ease things off? I don't know on that. I mean, the fact that it produces 50% of the world's oil comes through the Straits of Hormuz.
I think it's like 30%, but yeah, it's a big percent.
It's a lot, and that's having a massive effect on us. I mean, the cost of fuel over here is ridiculous, and it always has been, but it's even worse at the moment. And this government isn't helping. They are bloody useless. I mean, they got in with 30% of the vote.
Right, but isn't Keir Starmer on his way out now? I think he's on his way out, is he not?
He's clinging on like you just can't work out. I mean, he's mental. He's clinging on. He's the most hated person in the country. Nobody likes, not even his backbenchers like him.
Right, nobody likes him.
But the problem is nobody's willing to stand up to him, and he's clinging on to power like there's no tomorrow. And the best possible outcome is that he kicks his teddy out of the pram and throws up. All right, have a general election. That's the best possible outcome we can have at the moment. We need a general election. I mean, it's just going from worse to worse. I mean, our what do you call it? Our welfare bill is more than we're taking in tax. They're having to borrow to pay for the welfare bill. That ain't going to last longer. I mean, they've always said that Labour eventually run out of other people's money to spend. Well, they've already done that.
Right. Well, I listened to this podcast called "The Rest Is History." Have you known that podcast, "The Rest Is History"? It's very famous. It's two British guys, and they talk about history all the time. And usually, it could be any kind of history, but it's a lot of British history, a lot of English history, a lot of recent history, and they're talking about how the UK was almost insolvent, like in the 70s, right? Right around when Margaret Thatcher was coming up. And it sounds kind of like you're just about back to that position again. Mm-hmm. I mean, we are too, obviously, in the United States. I mean, a lot of people are, right? I mean, it's not a unique thing to England.
You seem to be an awful lot better off than us at the moment. At least you're power dependent. You've got your own independence. You've got your own oil.
Right.
We've got our own oil, but we're not.
You're not pumping it for some reason.
No, we're leaving it there and we're buying it off of other people. I mean, you really couldn't make it up. So we're not granting any licenses, but the Norwegians are drilling in the same oil fields, taking the same oil that we could be taking, and then selling it to us.
Right. Well, that's smart of the Norwegians.
You couldn't make it up.
You could make it up.
You couldn't make it up.
Well, I want to talk about what you're up to these days. So you were telling me earlier that you have been on 1,000 podcast episodes, which is like that. You must be a Hall of Famer or something like that. You must have a plaque somewhere.
I don't know.
Maybe it's a digital
talk,
plaque. Maybe it's a PDF document somebody emailed you.
Yeah, I can talk for England, but no, I've been a right busy boy actually recently. The last few years.
What have you been up to?
Not just with the podcast, but I've been writing books.
Writing books.
I'm a published author.
What books do you write?
It started a little while ago. Let me take you right back. On the 20th of December 1956, I had a brother. He was born, and on the 21st of November 1956, he died. I was born in April 58, and right through my life, as far back as I can remember, I've had very, very vivid dreams of us growing up together, our lives in parallel, and how they've gone. And I finally got round to writing it. I thought it would just be one little book. It's actually 7.
Wow.
It's a 7-book series. And literally this afternoon, I just uploaded book 7. I've just finished book 7.
What's it called? What's the series called?
The Parallel 6. And there you go. That's one of them.
Okay.
That's in fact that's book 4, I think. That one there. That's book 1.
All right. Well, I'm looking at it here on Amazon. Okay.
Yeah, it's available in ebook, paperback, and book 1 is in a hardback.
What about the audiobook? You've got a great voice for radio. You should be doing audiobooks.
Yeah, it's reading. Now, I've always suffered from a dyslexia.
Really? But you're a writer now.
When it comes to reading, I am crap. Literally, I'm rubbish at reading out. I can waffle away all day long, but if I get to read out a sentence, the words start jumping around on the bloody paper.
Wow. Okay. All right.
I've got a radio show. Get a load of this. I'm a radio presenter on QA Hospital Radio, and I've got a Thursday morning show from 9 till 11. So the top of the hour, the news is, bang, comes in, start the show. First thing I've got to do is I've got to read the weather. So I've got a screen over here, and it's the only screen that it does it on. And I've got the weather there, and I start to read the weather, and then the words are jumping around.
Wow.
So I end up making it up.
Well, that's good. It's probably better that way, honestly, right? I mean, it's more spontaneous, more real.
So it goes downhill from there.
Right.
And then I've got...
So, how do you write a book with dyslexia, though? That seems like it'd be hard, because as you're writing, you go back and you look at the last paragraph, and that's jumping around too? Or what's your writing process like with dyslexia?
It's not bad dyslexia, but it's just when it comes to reading. I can sit there and write, and then I'll use spell check to make sure. I'm always asking Siri, how do you spell this, how do you spell that? So I'm getting the spelling right, and then I'll do a complete spell check, and then I'll do a read through several times. So that's how I've got away with it. But a while back, which is why this book series started, was with this first book. Now, when I was in Afghanistan in 2007, and then I went back out again in 2008-9, I wrote a series of letters home, the sort, e-blues and all the rest of it. So I was going through an old hard drive to see what's on there, and I came across all these letters. So I've turned it into a story, basically. And there, you can see that.
Yeah,
That's
Letters from Afghanistan.
Letters from Afghanistan. So that's the first book that I wrote. And I'm quite pleased with the way that went. So that's my story in Afghanistan. And that's from a PsyOps operator's perspective, what I was doing at the time out there.
That sounds
And
very interesting.
I was writing these letters home. I mean, I was out on the ground. I got in a few dust ups and things like that. So I downplayed a lot of the stuff that I was actually getting involved with, just so it didn't worry people at home. You know, I mean, thinking I was
Right.
going to get killed.
Well, plus,
That was
I imagine that the military or intelligence is reading your letters home, right? I mean, you have to be kind of discreet, I would imagine, when you're. No, they don't.
no, not nowadays. I mean, not with the digital media and all the rest of it that you've got. Obviously, you brief that before you go out, and you're careful what you say. I mean, ops security is paramount. So nothing that I wrote home was anything to do with operational security at the time. And,
Well, that would include like where you are, right? I mean, like you're not supposed to say exactly where you
well,
are, right?
people knew I was in Afghanistan. And I
Well,
was
generally they know you're in
Helmand
Afghanistan, but are
province.
you in Kabul or like some other little town in the middle of nowhere? I don't know.
Well, a lot of it was all history. The place I'd been wasn't out at the time. So where I was at, I mean, obviously when I was going through places like Bastion, or if I was in Lashkar, or in some of the main bases up in Sangin Valley or Kajaki up the dam and stuff like that, people knew where they were, and it's not hard to work out. But it was a job I was doing. I mean, I was doing commercial radio, effectively. So I was, particularly the last 6 months I did in 2008-9, I was bouncing around the whole of Helmand, installing, training the interpreters to be presenters and the guys that were looking after them to be radio producers. So and got them working on his radio in a box. So they were sending messages out, playing music to the local population.
And that's all gone now, right? Like music is banned in Afghanistan or whatever.
Again, yeah. I mean, a measure of effect. I mean, when you're doing psyops, one of the hardest. I mean, when you fire an artillery shell and it lands on something and there's a big bang, you can see an effect straight away. When you send a message out, a psyops message, you don't know where it's landing, what effect it's had, or anything like that. So measure of effect for psyops is really, really difficult to judge or to get a feedback from. But we were down. I was down in a place called Garmasir, which is about 10 miles north of the Pakistan border. And I set up one of these radio stations down there, trained the boys up there to use it, and then we went live in the afternoon for half an hour. I got half a dozen blokes round the compound just to see with these wind-up radios to see whether they could hear the broadcast. So we played a little bit of music, put a few messages out, and anyway, we finished that, and about an hour or so later, two guys were approaching the camp, holding up bits of paper. So the guards have called them forward to make them sort of lift up their dish dashes and all the rest of it, and they walked up with these two bits of paper. It turns out they'd heard the broadcast and they wanted tunes playing for them and their mates. That's a measure of effects to start with. We hadn't even started broadcasting properly. Following day, we went live in the morning. We went live for 3 hours in the morning and then had a break and then went live for 3 hours in the afternoon. We had bloody queues of blokes coming up with bits of paper. It got out of hand. So this got on for a couple of days. And they bring it up and the boys are trying their best to get the music and all this and mentioning people's names and them and their mates. and it was all from boys, all from blokes. And I said to the lads, give us a couple of girls' names. So they gave us a couple of girls. Get this message out. I asked my brother to bring this in. Can you play a tune for me and my girlfriends? That afternoon, we had, I don't know, about 50 or 60 bits of paper come in with girls' requests on. I went back. I've been there for about a week. I took a stack of about 1,000 of these requests back to Lashkar, and that evening I went up in front of the commander, his nightly briefing, and I briefed him up on what had gone on down there and the measure of effect that we were having down in that area. I got a massive round of applause.
Right. Well, that is pretty impressive, right? That's like hearts and minds, right? I mean, like that's the
Absolutely, yeah.
That's the key.
And I mean that was organic. I mean that just grew legs. For months after, we were getting feedback that they were still getting messages in, that people wanting stuff playing, and we were pushing out our messaging as well.
Right. So what are you playing? You playing like the Rolling Stones, or what kind of music are you playing?
No, a lot of it was Bollywood stuff. There was a lot of Afghan stuff we managed to get hold of. We didn't play Western music. Go back to the previous tour, 2007. I was out there, and I got tasked with. We borrowed one of these radio in a box off the Americans, and it was going to go up into Garmasia, where the Danish, and they run this operating base, and I was tasked to come up with a load of music, pre-recorded programs. So I've got my interpreters. We spent a couple of weeks getting all this music and everything together, all these interviews. We started something off we called the Afghan Archers. So if you know what the Archers is in the UK, it's BBC Radio 4. It's the longest running radio serial ever. So we started it kind of on that, and it was. So anyway, what happened was, the day I was due to go up to Garmasia with all this stuff to go and start loading it on to broadcast off of this bit of kit, I had to send the kit. I had to send all that work up to Garmasia for somebody else to put onto the system. By which time, the Americans was already broadcasting with it, and they was playing pop music and all sorts of crap. Waste of time. I wasted 2.5 weeks. It was complete and utter waste of time. Nobody was listening to it, and they were getting loads of negative feedback from this particular radio.
Well, there you go. PsyOps, not knowing your audience, right? So there we go. All right, Tim, we got to wrap things up here. But is there any good way for people to get a hold of you if they want to maybe learn more about your books or about what you're up to right now? Like, what's the best way for people to reach you?
Oh, blimey. I don't know, actually. I've never thought about it.
Don't you have a website? Are you timheale.com or .co.uk?
No, I mean, if you go onto YouTube, just type in Tim Heale 9, and that's 9 is a scrum half number.
Oh, I see your. Okay, here's your YouTube channel right here. All right.
Yeah, so I've got a YouTube channel, and there is a ton of stuff on there.
Right.
And I've been recording like it's going out of fashion because I'm away for 17 days as of Sunday on the next trip, going down to Kosovo, and lots of other places on the way down.
Well, I see you have all these nice bits of crumpet doing shorts here for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, got fantastic looks like this. You can pull birds, can't you?
Right. All right. Very good. Okay, so that's the best way, and then they can message you on YouTube or whatever. Is that the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Yeah, I
Twitter.
think
Oh,
so.
you're on Twitter too. Twitter/Tim Heale 9.
Yeah, Tim Hill 9 gets on most things. So,
Tim Heale
yeah,
9. That's the way to
yeah.
find you.
Yeah, the 9 is,
All right.
I played rugby. I started playing rugby at the age of 6 and I finished playing rugby at the age of 56. Played my last game at rugby at 56.
All right.
I
Give blood.
had
Play
planned,
rugby.
I had planned on playing right up until I was 60, but I broke.
Right. Well, that's probably why. That's probably all your soft tissue injuries and broken bones are from rugby rather than
Yeah,
from the service, I guess.
well, it all helped.
It all helped.
I was a scrum half, so I was a gobby scrum half, which is why I could talk for England.
Right. All
And
right.
21
Very good.
was a replacement scrum half.
Lovely. Okay, we got to go, Tim. Sorry. Sorry that we have to leave because I'm having such a good time talking to you. But I do appreciate you taking the time to be with us here on 60 Plus Uncensored. You are living the life. You're doing amazing work well into your 60s, and sounds like the 70s are right there. And I'm sure you're going to keep on going. So, thank you
I'm
so much
closer
for
to
joining me here
70 than
today.
I am 60.
Oh.
So anyway, TTFN, ta-da for now. Stay low, move fast, and watch where you put your feet.
All right. Good advice for anybody. All right. That's a wrap for this episode of 60 Plus Uncensored. Huge thanks to Tim Heale for setting the tone with such honesty and insight. If you like this episode, do me a favor. Do Tim a favor. Hit that subscribe button, leave a review, and share it with someone you know who needs to hear it. Oh, and by the way, if you know someone over 60 out there still doing big things like Tim, living boldly, working with purpose, or aging on their own terms, I would love to hear from you. Reach out at team60plus.com or join the conversation at 60 Plus Living on Facebook. I'm Seb Fry, and this is 60 Plus Uncensored, because as we're learning, life after 60 isn't the end, it's just getting good.
Subscribe now.